Guys, my name's Amy McDonald. This is The Foolish Optimist. We are in our special series around, as you just said, the people who get the candidates elected. And I'm really excited to announce our guest. Her name is Marla Bautista. She's the author of My Thoughts Abandoned and the co-author of Brave Women, Strong Faith. She's a TEDx speaker. She has her master's degree in communications from Syracuse University, and her passion is helping people in need. She does so as the co-founder and the CEO of the Bautista Project, Inc., a nonprofit organization providing for the homeless community members in Tampa, Florida. Marla, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're our first expert parts of this whole election cycle. Everyone's supported by teams, and you're our communications gal. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are the person you are and why you dove into communications and where that all kind of fits in.
Awesome. Well, what I do is I support political candidates through communications. So I've worked as a communications manager on campaigns. And I think there's some kind of misconception about individuals in politics that the person who's sitting in the seat is the person who is the politician. And while yes, that is true, there are a lot of supportive components that go with that individual that make that individual successful. And so I kind of tout myself as the mouthpiece of the politician, right? So I write the narrative, I write the speeches, I write the social media captions, and all of the things, and even sometimes, potential verbiage to go into legislation for the politicians themselves.
That's awesome. And most recently, I know you're doing a lot of work in this upcoming election cycle, but most recently, I think you mentioned you were in Chicago. Is that correct? Or working on a campaign in Chicago?
No. So my most recent campaign win was in Colorado Springs, and it
totally
was
different city.
Yeah. It was a small city council campaign, and we did win that election. And so I was able to put someone in a seat at city council in Colorado Springs. So I'm really excited about that.
City council is very important, everybody. Local elections matter. My question is, how'd you end up in politics? Has it been lifelong, or is this something that just kind of happened?
I've always been interested in leadership, community leadership. I've always been a community advocate, and that's kind of been a segue for me into politics. And so I've never really been interested in running for a seat. However, I have been a community leader for quite some time. And so I've always been interested in the inner workings of communities and how to make them better. And so, one of the things I hear all the time people say is I don't want to get involved in politics. I don't want to hear about it. It doesn't affect me. And I'm like, are you kidding? Politics impacts every single aspect of our lives, every single aspect of your life. How much your groceries are, how much your gas is, how many potholes you have, the education system in your community, how many people are in jail in your community, how many people go to college in your community. All of this is impacted by politics.
There's a very privileged take of being able to say that you don't care about politics, and it's so frustrating to me. And I do think finally a lot of people are waking up. I mean, I don't know what you're seeing on the ground doing communications for people, but it does feel like there's a new exciting generational gap closing, right? Because for a long time, people my age, people a little your age, a little bit younger than us, they're just oh, I don't really care, I don't have to care. But now it seems like everyone's coming to terms with the fact that everything is political. You work a lot with the homeless community in Tampa, right? That's where you're based right now. You're not in Chicago. You haven't been in Chicago. How do you think candidates can deeper their own understanding around what's happening in the community, especially things like homelessness that maybe we don't talk about as much as we should? But it's really important to talk about, because that's our most vulnerable community, no matter how you split it.
I think that in order for people to become interested in not only community advocacy, but in politics as well, I think that we need to go outside. What do the kids say? Go outside and touch some grass.
Touch grass.
Go touch some grass. That'll help you get involved not only in your community but in the political realm as it is today. I think that we're so far removed from the sense of community, from a sense of belonging, that we don't equate how other people live to the way we live. I think people think that, you know, unhoused community members are not a part of their community, and they are. They're absolutely a part of your community. You're paying taxes for people who are in jail. You're paying taxes for social services programs that support unhoused community members. So this all impacts our everyday lives. And so you're impacted by people who live on the streets in your community. You're impacted by people who go to jail. You're impacted if your community is a police state. You know, you're impacted if your community is well off. And so it impacts all of us. But if you are in a marginalized community or know of a marginalized community near you, getting those boots on the ground and going outside and learning about that community will better help you understand, especially if you're a person of privilege. If you're a person of privilege, that is the best thing you can do, is to go outside and learn about marginalized communities and underserved communities, because you will get to see disparities that are, in my eyes, the stupidest thing you would ever see. Like you literally don't even realize how politics impacts a kid's school lunch.
Yeah. You have no idea because you've never thought about it before, because you were like, nobody's ever had this conversation with me about not having enough money for lunch. And it's like a ton of children across the United States do not have money for lunch, actually. And that's one of my big sticking points, is the fact that we live in like the richest country in the world, and we can't take care of our unhoused population. We can't take care of our hungry children. And like,
I mean, we can.
We big air quotes, we can't, right? We can't figure it out, but we just gave ICE $160 billion. And it's like, oh, okay, so we'll pay billions of dollars to rip families apart, but not billions of dollars to keep them together?
Yeah, I can name a million things that are cheaper than detaining an immigrant. I can name a million things cheaper than imprisoning an individual. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, from that perspective, when we're talking about, like, you already mentioned a police state once. You've mentioned people in jail and imprisoning immigrants, or even just detaining people. When it comes to, I feel like something we don't talk about a lot or nearly enough, specifically as it pertains to these political elections, is police violence and the like encroaching, I guess is the word, encroaching police state if you're not already in it, right? Like, I live in New York City. The amount of police I see on a daily basis, it's insane. And like, the amount of weaponry they have is insane. And like, when people show up, they're like, why did I just see someone that's like a National Guardsman and talking to a police officer, talking to like a SWAT guy in 42nd Street? So do you think that should be, not that it should be, but do you think that that's like a conversation that needs to be brought up at the like national stage?
Absolutely. It's a waste of money. Having a police state is a waste of money. And I actually had a friend, I was just talking to a friend a few minutes ago, and she said, are we safe yet? Fuck no.
No.
No, and we've spent more money on militarizing the police more than ever. We've created a drug war. We've done all of these things. We've detained immigrants. We did a war on immigrants. Are we safe yet?
I mean, we keep giving, in New York City, we've given the NYPD, like, in the last 5 years, enough money to actually rebuild the atom bomb from the start, right? Like, adjusted for inflation in the last 5 years. And we can't stop people jumping turnstiles. I'm like, that is the, you know, even if you were good at, like, you're bad at your job, this doesn't matter, it should be free, but like, you can't even do that one part of your job, and yet you're asking for $11 billion more.
Yeah. And they're going to continue to ask for more because it works, because we can always have a cause, and we are cautious fucking people in America. We create these security theaters in America, and we're like, are you scared? Because I'm scared. So if you're scared, let's buy this, and we won't be scared anymore. And then we buy the thing, and then we're still scared. Now we're scared of a new thing. And we're like, oh, now we're scared of this. Let's buy something else to make this better. And then we buy the thing, and it's like, oh, are we better yet? It's like, oh, no, well, now, we have this new problem that we need to now keep ourselves safe from. So every problem breeds a new problem that needs more money to keep us safe from.
I'm laughing because it's so fucking true, but I'm also laughing because it reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen this movie, and it's like a long shot, but it's Josie and the Pussycats. It's a classic 2001 film where they put like subliminal messaging into music, and like every 10 minutes throughout the movie, someone's like, oh my God, I actually need to buy this, but it needs to be in blue. And then like 10 minutes later, like, actually, no, I need it in orange because orange is better than blue. And it just reminds me of that, right? You called it a security theater, is that right?
Yes, a security theater.
What does that mean?
So a security theater is essentially an idea of a threat. It's an idea of something impending doom type thing will happen, and so we need to prepare ahead of time for that thing to happen. So that's something we've used in the military space. I'm not a veteran, but I have supported the military community in lots of different ways, and so we talked a lot about security theaters, specifically when it comes to deployments and operational security and things like that. And so a security theater, so an analogy is like a plane being shot down, right? So like a security theater is like, okay, we don't say the dates, we don't say the times, we don't say anything about these flights coming back to America with troops on it because we don't know what could happen. And here's the thing, I don't know if that's ever happened.
Right. It's just a hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical. And so we plan for this thing to happen that's never happened. And I do believe it's actually happened before. I think once in history it has happened, but it's not a normal thing that happens. And we spend much money preparing for this one thing to not ever happen that hasn't happened. And so it's like what do we think? What's a good one to have? What's a good security theater? There's so many.
I mean, I guess it's probably taking your shoes off at the airport, right? We had one bomb go off in somebody's shoe, and then for 25 years, we took our shoes off. They just recently, big news, TSA said we're allowed to keep our shoes on. Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I think about it, it's kind of crazy, right? Because you're exactly right. So we have these like theaters where we're planning all this shit, and we're getting more anxious, and then people are already a little scared and jumpy. But then we have the things that are actually already happening, right? Like school shootings and the entire economy that's come out of that.
About that though?
Yeah, I'm like, I told a friend of mine that they were like, oh, don't you want to have kids? And I was like, not here. I was like, I don't know if I have the mental capacity to send my child to school and just not know. I was like, I don't think I can compartmentalize that way. Yeah. But like, I got an ad the other day for a bulletproof backpack. So whoever's watching my phone thinks I'm ready to have kids.
Yeah, it depends on what you're looking up, what you're searching, but clearly you're afraid of something and something's trying to help you, And that's a security theater, is you're preparing yourself for this thing. It's like almost like people with guns, right? No thing about people with guns. Guns are great. Whatever you do with your gun is great. Love it for you.
Right.
But here's the thing. I've heard from so many people that they want to keep themselves safe and they don't know what could ever happen, so they carry their gun on their hip all the time.
All the time.
And I'm like, I'm 40-something years old, and I've never in my life needed a gun to escape any of the situations I've been in. And I've lived on the streets. I was actually homeless. And I've never needed a gun to escape any situation I've ever been in. So I feel like the gun is going to make you less safe. But okay, whatever.
I fully agree with that. What do you think, like, from a communication standpoint, what do you think is causing this, like, generalized anxiety that we have as a collective in the United States?
Access to more information than ever before. That's our problem. Yeah. We are a very curious breed of mammals, right? And because we're so curious, we love information, and we keep getting access to more and more information. If you remember, you don't, also I don't, but remember there was a time when there were no TVs. There was a time when we did not have access to international things that were happening. Only very high level government type people would know what was actually going on international. But your normal day, everyday American didn't know what was happening on the ground in Gaza or, in all these other places. And so I think that access to information makes us more afraid. And it's proven. I mean, how many times are we looking for this guy in the white van to come kidnap us with the candy?
Right.
I don't know anybody that's actually happened to.
I think it was, well, I just was re-listening. I thought it was like the Elizabeth Smart thing, but that man went into her house and took her out of a window. And that's not something that was instilled in me as being afraid.
That's
it was
not
the
normal.
white van with candy and or puppies.
Right.
My parents knew my spirit. They were like, no puppies. Don't.
Well, the thing is like most of the time, women who are assaulted, or anyone really that's assaulted, I'm going to say as far as like sexual assault type violence, sexual violence, usually that's from someone they know. That's from someone within their family or in their circles. That's not from a random kidnapper individual. And that's the same thing with violence. Most violence doesn't happen randomly.
Right. But it's crazy because we don't talk about this like I think nowadays in the last like 10 years, like obviously intimate partner violence and like actually really talking about domestic violence has changed completely. Thank God. Much needed. But like you said, right, we've always been afraid of this thing that doesn't really exist and we don't really talk about the actual problems. And I think that loops us back to politics perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Well, shit. Here we go. We're back.
And we've circled back. So how do you run on ideals, creating fear, instilling fear in people? You run a campaign on that. You win your campaign on that, and then you don't do the thing to make the people safer. Why is that?
Right. I'm guessing here. You're the expert. I'm assuming it's to raise money, right? To like get money off of this one thing that is the hot button trigger item. Maybe it is. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember everyone saying Obama's going to take your guns. And he was like, I'm not. And everyone was like, buy more guns. And they're like, literally, where I grew up, North Carolina, the amount of times I heard the first black president's taking our guns I was just like, he's not. Nobody's taking your fucking guns. Who told you? What do you mean?
Not at all.
And now I'm like guns, like the guns purchasing, like surged because everyone thought President Barack Obama was going to sign in.
It works.
How do we?
It works, and that's the exact reason why they do it, is to create this fear inside of you to make you buy into the thing, to make you buy into the idea, to make you buy into the product, right? And it works every single time. It's, if you do this, I'll do this, and the world will be a better place. And then when it's not, it's like buyer's remorse. I'm not even going to call it buyer's remorse, right? Because it's like, we've all done it. Maybe you haven't, but I've bought the cutest fucking pair of pants at the store and I didn't try them on, but I just wanted them. And I was like, you know what? They're going to fit. And then
they're
bought them.
my size.
They're my size,
right? God knows
and
what size
that's
they
a whole
actually
different
are.
subject about women's sizing in America, because they were my freaking size, by the way.
They were my size. They were
my size. Numerically, they were my size.
Yeah.
But then you get them home and they're too tight. And it's like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? And they were like not tight enough where you couldn't ever wear them, but they were like tight. And so you still tried it. You tried it.
Yeah.
I've tried it.
Same.
We're like, and so that's what it is. That's what it is in politics. Is like, we voted for a person because we think the person's going to do the thing that makes us safer, makes our lives better, makes us more prosperous. And then when they get into office and they don't, we're like, well, look on the bright side, right? And it's like, a little, but not really.
Like, yeah. I mean, that leads me to a good question that I think you'll have some insight on. How can these new candidates combat incumbency, right? Like these incumbents, like you just said, it matters, obviously. If people really hate them, they're getting voted out. But if people are lukewarm to them or just kind of like, if it's the pants situation, then how do we, as people who are supporting candidates and people just in general who care about politics, how do we help these new candidates combat that incumbency?
I think that we have to be honest with ourselves. And we have to be honest and realize what they're not doing for us, realizing that they're maintaining a status quo for their benefit, not ours. And once we have that honest conversation with ourselves, we can then start to move forward on how to remove those individuals. And funny, not so funny thing, money is the root of all evil. Money is the root of all prosperity. Money is the root of all the things in America, and that's what works. And I hate that for us. Because we can't just come together and vote for the right guy. It's like, this guy has millions. I mean, if you're looking at certain races, I can even compare Mondami to Cuomo right now. Mondami won the popular vote in the primary, and Cuomo wants to run as an independent because he is not okay.
Well, and they spent, on those last 5 days of early voting, they spent somewhere around $20 to $30 million for Cuomo. I actually just threw out all of my terrible ads that I got, anti-Mamdani ads, and they're all sponsored by Bloomberg and DoorDash. DoorDash is
Super
and I don't know.
DoorDash.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why DoorDash is in bed with Michael Bloomberg, but
they're PAC. They're forming PACs, and that's the thing about PACs. When people talk about PACs, they're not directly related to the candidate. So it's not Cuomo sending out that mailer. It's that PAC sending out that mailer to you against the other candidate. So Cuomo technically has nothing to do with what they said,
Right. And that's the one where they darkened his beard and made it a little bit longer and made him look a little bit more Middle Eastern, therefore a little bit more scary. But it's as someone who's just in the world of the United States, it's really hard to connect all those dots, right? Why is DoorDash? I'm who? I don't remember the name of the PAC now, but so I mean, from your perspective, I think I know the answer of what you're going to say, but a lot of people want to run without taking PAC money. Do you think it's possible?
I'm sorry. Don't cut that, but cut that. If you're watching, you saw my laugh. You saw my honest fucking reaction. Carry on, Amy. I'm sorry.
Do you think it's possible for these new candidates to win without super PAC money?
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's not. It's possible. Is it likely?
Right, fine.
No, it's not. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I am not against lobbying. I'm not against PAC money. I am against APAC money, but there are some great organizations that come together to support candidates, and there are a lot of candidates who need that support. There are a lot of great companies in America. You don't have to take dark money. That is not cool. But there are a lot of great companies who really want better for our country. And here's the thing. Billionaires are going to do billionaire shit. Unfortunately, we can't combat that right now. If we all got together with everything in the bank, with all the rest of 90% of us, or 99% of us, with all of our money in the bank, we got $13.27 America. Let's be fucking for real. Right. We're broke, okay?
They've got so much fucking money. I know. Oh.
Even if we all came together, we don't have as much money as Elon Musk. Even if we all came together, we do not have as much money as Elon Musk. Let that sink in. So that individual by himself can buy whatever fucking office he wants. Whatever office he wants to buy, he can go buy any seat that he wants. I previously worked at USA Today, and that was one of the articles I wrote was about Elon Musk buying the White House before he bought the White House. And I was right. I'm saying I was right. Whatever the stats say, whatever the race, obviously people voted for Donald Trump, but in the end, Elon Musk spent $240 million to make sure that seat was saved for Donald Trump, and it worked. He got what he wanted. Elon Musk has a lot of interest in the presidency, and it's not that he wants to be president, he just wants to make rules and make more money, and he got to do that with his money.
Well, and it's, Elon and Donald right up at the top, but of course J.D. Vance is only J.D. Vance because of Peter Thiel. So it's these two side-by-side billionaires and politicians. If I'm putting them in air quotes because literally Donald Trump's been technically a politician a lot longer than J.D. Vance has been on the national, international scale. So, but it's wild to see when you start looking at all of the things, and that's part of
money's
why
behind everything.
Great.
And here's the thing: there's nothing wrong with money being behind individuals because that's what happens in politics. Right. Here's the thing: you have to be you have to make it make sense. As a politician, we do expect you to co-govern with us, right? As a community, I expect you, if you're a city councilor, I expect you to come out to the community, hear my concerns, and govern based on those concerns. So that's not uncommon. So people are like, well, they're doing it for this person. Well, they're supposed to be doing it for a community of people. That's the goal. Right. It's just, unfortunately, I think they got the memo about who that community of people was. And so I think we have to remind them that we are here, right? Like, we're the community. But the thing is, here's the thing. At the end of the day, we can be as mad as we want to be. We can't change Elon Musk's financial situation.
No.
We don't have enough money to combat Elon Musk's financial situation. Or Jeff
Bezos.
Us
throwing pennies at him, being like, hey.
Yeah, right? He's like, I've never even seen that before. What is that?
It's like, that hurt. Something hit me. Right? I think it was a bug.
It's like, you're right. He's like, I've never seen. He's like, wait, what is this money thing you guys are talking about? You guys have dollars? I've never even seen that before. He's like, probably holding it up. Like, what do you do with this? Right? Like, sir, we buy groceries with it. We buy eggs. He's like, eggs? What are eggs? Like, I
haven't heard of those.
Haven't heard of those before. So I think that it's important that we remember, I don't want to say our place, but we remember our power, right? And I think as individuals, we lose our power in politics because we believe that we've got to strip everybody of all of these things for people to win. If I have a candidate that is going up against an incumbent with $36 million, I'm going to need you to have some money.
Yeah, we gotta find the money somewhere.
We've got to find the money. I get that we don't want money in politics. I get that we want a cap in campaign spending, and I agree. I absolutely agree. Right now, that is not it. Right now, we need to win seats that save lives. That's what we need to do right now. Right now, we don't need to focus on taking money out of politics because here's the thing. They're not going to take money out of politics. I love the idea.
It'd be like fighting with your arm tied behind your back, you know?
Like, exactly. And I maybe, again, it's not impossible. It's just really highly unlikely that you'd win that fight.
Yeah. And it's the same, like, there's a lot of things that I feel this way about pertaining to politics. Money is one of them. Super PAC money specifically. Obviously, if you can find good PACs, you should use them, right? Mm-hmm. There are plenty that are out there that are really good. But the other one is like AI tools. I know there's a portion of progressives who are like very anti-AI or just like believes that AI need to be regulated, which I'm like, I'm down with. We need to regulate pretty much everything, but I'm not running. That's just my thoughts. But like, I'm like, but you have to use those tools because everyone else is. Yeah. And again, it's like you're coming to a big knife fight with like a butter knife. You know, like you just have to actually use the tools at your disposal or you can't win.
If you are an adult in corporate spaces, politics, and you don't use AI in 2025,
what? I used to work in AI. Like, you got to use it. You have to use it. It's going to increase. Like, I've had this conversation with 1,000 people. It's like people are like, "Oh, AI is going to take my job." I'm like, no, someone who can use AI is taking your job.
Exactly. When I think one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest problems is people don't know what AI is doing. Right? Yeah. So they're afraid of something they don't know. They're afraid of the unfamiliar. And I understand that. But here's the thing. When you see ads on Facebook, they're targeted to you through AI. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they realize the capacity of AI. AI has been used for so many. I think when we think of AI, we're thinking about ChatGPT and people writing school essays on it and cheating. I think that's what we're thinking of in AI. But you don't realize the advancement of politics, the advancement of everything, the advancement of advertising, the advancement of marketing, the advancement of medical, technology because of AI. So AI is ingrained in every system we use today. And I think that it's essentially the idea of the computer, the idea of the internet, right? We're back there. of, oh, it's scary, oh, it's gonna do the things, it's gonna have legs, it's gonna do the things. And that's where we're at with AI right now. So until we learn to coexist with AI, I think we're still gonna have that push and pull, and that hesitancy. But if you're, I don't know any successful person right now who does not use AI at all for anything. I don't.
I was selling AI, and literally I was speaking to a man much older than I was, and he was like, well, you don't remember this. He was like, but we lost a big chunk of the workforce when Excel came out. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course you did. Like, when Microsoft Suite started working on everyone's computers, it was much easier to do. And he was like, we shortened the staff, but we also rehired a bunch of them once they went through a new training and they were actually able to use it. And I was like, whoa, a company investing in its workers. What is that? I haven't seen that in my lifetime.
Right? I mean, gone are the days with 30 guys sitting in a sweaty room doing math problems.
Be like, what formula did you use? So yeah, I mean, it's new technology, and that is, but it goes back to that, you were talking about things that we're afraid of that don't exist, or we don't even know what we're afraid of. And I think AI falls into that category, as does new technology across the board.
And regulation is needed. Don't get me wrong. I think that we do, just like the internet, just like we don't know what we don't know until we know it, right? And so same thing with, what is it, the child, what is it called? Like the explicit ratings and the child protection on internet, and the ratings of the shows and all these things. We don't know until we know. Remember, some of you guys didn't ever sit in a car seat or wear a seatbelt. Some of you smoked pipes and worked at a coal mine when you were 6. So things have changed. We have evolved, okay?
Yes, thank God.
That's not safe anymore, and we know now.
And we kind of knew back then, but, this is looping back to the money in politics, right? Like, eventually all of the major cigarette companies said they knew that it was bad for you, but they were just paying people off to say that it wasn't. Unbelievable. And then you see pictures of, like, the Marlboro Man, and you're like, how did you even live that long, sir? You're just smoking 8 packs a day.
No, but we had the stuff. Like, there was swag for cigarettes. There was the backpacks and and we all had that. I mean, I'm from the 80s, and so we all had that stuff from our parents. They would smoke cigarettes, and you had like the duffel bag, and the stuffed animal. You had a stuffed animal. Like, you didn't have a camel? Like, what? So weird.
My dad was like constantly trying to quit smoking by the time I came around, and like my sister and I found his cigarettes in the console of his car, and we cut them all up, and then we printed out truth.com. We went to the school library, we printed out truth.com cigarette facts, and we rolled all of them up, and we shoved them in on top of the cigarette. So he would pull one out individually, and he would have to read a truth.com fact. And he was like, that didn't even get me to quit. He was like, I just got better at hiding it. He has since quit. But the communications and the marketing side of cigarettes is very interesting. It worked really, really well. Actually, since we're talking about new technology, what do you think in terms of communications, as far as what are your trends that you're seeing, like the best way to communicate right now with potential voters, with potential donors for these like new candidates who are, again, going up against that incumbent with $36 million? What's the best way for them to get their message across these days?
So, truth versus myth. Everyone thinks social media is the way to go. And we love it, and it reaches a lot of people. But are those people in the district to vote for you? And that's one of the biggest challenges, is they're not. We love a great piece of content on social media, but nothing beats going outside and knocking on those doors. Nothing beats those mailers that are in your community. Nothing beats those local events in your community, because those are the people you need to vote for you. Now, yes, if you're in a presidential campaign, then obviously nationwide makes sense, for social media. And social media is still great. I'm not negating social media, but that can't be your end all be all for your campaign. You need to know who's in your community, and baseline point, if people don't know who you are in your community, why are you even running?
Right. Like before you even get started.
Who are you? If nobody knows you, why would I
Right.
believe you're going to fight for me if I've never even seen you fight for me before?
I'm writing down that timestamp.
You
I mean,
know?
it's so true though. And I like, I was having this conversation with someone right before you and I jumped on. I do feel like a lot of people want to run or like want to use a campaign as a way to get their name out there. Um, but like you said, no one's winning if you're not already doing shit. Like,
Yeah.
and just getting outside. There's so many people don't go talk to people who don't look like them, don't pay, aren't in the same tax bracket and all these things.
We can't trust you. Who are you? Who are you? We don't trust you. And the thing is here, there's a lot of great people that are new to politics and they're grassroots candidates. We've never seen you before. And they really want to do the work and do the right thing in the community. And I love that. Jump right in and get to it. However,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that also go across districts because they find a winnable seat.
Yes.
It's been done plenty of times. We've seen people flip seats before.
Seen that.
We've seen people jump into races that they should have never been in. And that's where that fault of, untrustworthiness comes from. Like, I can't trust you. I don't know you. Now, if this is
Yeah.
Joe Blow from the community who has volunteered, who's on the board in your community, who speaks up about marginalized communities or whatever the case may be, then absolutely. Yeah. But you're coming in here to this community that we've never seen you say anything about Medicaid. We've never seen you say anything about marginalized people. And all of a sudden, you're the guy that says, I have a black friend. Guy, come on now. Please go. Please don't.
Well,
do
and
that to us.
I think this is where people get a little thrown off, right? Because people are like, "Oh, I've been told I need to work my way up from the ground up," and it's like you don't. You just have to actually prove that you've been in the community and you're doing the work, boots on the ground, not just like screaming. Like I like to scream on the internet. I also volunteer, but like most people know me because I scream on the internet, not because I'm like out in the community. And I think people think, when we say you need to be involved, that they think, oh, I need to get elected to the school board first. And it's like, no, you don't. You just need to show up to the school board and you need to like care about the kids and, like,
I love it. Yes.
That, I think people get really turned around with that idea.
I mean, yeah, like school board, I've never seen you at a school board meeting and now you're running. It's crazy.
Right.
Crazy work. That's who are you advocating for? Just be honest, just say, right. I came to grab a seat, a low-hanging fruit seat, and I grabbed it because that'll help me build my way to politics. One of the biggest pet peeves I have is when I hear people say I'm not a politician. Ooh. I'm like, but you want to be.
Right.
Because you're running to be a politician. So you not being a politician isn't impressive. Because you want to be a politician. I'm confused.
It's insane. I have heard it numerous times. In fact, I've announced people on this show by saying that. And I had another conversation with someone who is does similar things to what you do, right? Political consultant of different varieties. And this idea of changing people's identities from being a businessman to being a politician or a teacher or a doctor to being a politician. And like, of course, if you've been a doctor for 20 years or 30 years, you're going to always be a doctor, but you have to, you got to embody it.
Right.
I guess.
Right. You have to at some point. You can't say, I'm not a politician, but I want to be a politician. And when I become a politician, I'm not really going to say I'm a politician. Then you're going to say I'm a working class politician who's not really a politician, but I'm in politics.
Put that on a mailer. That's right.
Exactly. Non-politician running to be a politician, but not a real politician, but a working class politician that doesn't really like politicians, but I want to be in politics. I got it.
And then it's just a picture of someone you've never seen before.
Also that. You might as well add that too. Because who are you?
Yeah. No, and I think we are seeing that a lot, and I think we've always seen that a lot. I think politics breeds a type of person who does want to see their name in lights, and like. But I will say, a lot of people I've talked to have actually been deep in the community before starting to run, which is really, really exciting. What do you think the best advice you would have for someone who's trying to move from just straight advocacy, right? I think we see a lot of these really strong advocates who are really great organizers who people are always like, you should be a politician. If somebody's trying to make that journey, what do you think is most important for them?
I think doing your research is number one. I think finding out what you really want to do is number one, because I think people don't realize how constricting politics can be. Because as a community advocate, I can say whatever I want, and I do. You know, we're out on the streets, we're saying, we're protesting, we're saying the things, we can say whatever we want. But people don't realize that when you go into a house seat or whatever seat you're going to, you've got to vote with other people. You know, you've got to do things with other people, and sometimes you may not like it. You may not want to do it. You may not want to vote this way. And they will tell you, we need a majority on this vote. Are you going to be the one guy that didn't vote when the entire party voted a certain way? And you can be, and that's great. If you're going to stand on business, you can stand on business, but you got to remember that now you're the outsider of the group.
You're going to be out in the cold,
And you're more than likely will get voted out. And they will spend $20 million to do so. And so we've got to be realistic about this. Be realistic about, is this something I really want to do? Can I work with these people? Because again, you're not a politician. So are you going to go in there coy? You will get eaten alive. You've got to remember, they're politicians, right? Mm-hmm. And so do your research. Find out what your community needs, what their pain points are, how you can help. What's the solution here? But then also know who your community's leaders are. If you're running or considering running, you need to know who your champions in your community are, who your villains in your community are, and what they're doing. You know, what makes them a champion, what makes them a villain, and where do you sit in all of that?
As I'd say, I think we need a better breakdown of champions and villains. I think that's not something people really grasp yet. And I think it'll become, a lot of, you're based in Florida. You mentioned one of your favorite races is Florida 21, right? Are you working on that?
No. I'm not working on any particular campaigns right now.
Okay.
I do work broadly. I create narratives for policy a lot, and for politicians who are already politicians. Currently in the job that I have now, I'm not working with any particular candidate. And so I'm creating overall narratives. And so I am watching a few races around the country. I'm not going to lie, I don't want to say her name, but Deja Fox, I was really disappointed in her race in Arizona. I really thought she had it.
On my notes to ask you about.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Deja Fox was real shiny to me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And we're attracted to shiny things, right? She was very shiny. She's still shiny. I saw her interview today, and I'm like, "Girl, you are still shiny." Which can be a good and bad thing. Yeah, she's a star. Mm-hmm. I call her Little Kamala. Don't tell anybody. But she's so shiny and cute, and I loved it for her. And honestly, I was impressed by her campaign. She raised over $1 million. She had lots of individual donors. She had great backing. Unfortunately, she didn't have AOC or Bernie's backing. She had David Hogg, which David Hogg we know, we love, supposedly, whatever the case may be, but wasn't enough.
I like him.
It wasn't enough.
I like him.
Yeah. So.
Well, and the person she was running against was I think it was the daughter of the person. And that's it. Not an incumbent, but it's a recognizable name. And, I think that's also battling. I mean, this is probably a good question for you as our comms guru. What about battling this idea of either being a Gen Z or a millennial and this narrative around younger generations, which I know has always been there. It's forever. Yeah. I've seen the newspaper clippings from the 1800s. But how do you think as a candidate people can combat that misinformation?
I think if you're a Gen Z, if you're a younger candidate, I think you need to prove yourself. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying if you want those older individuals' votes, you've got to prove yourself to them specifically. Show up for them. Show them. If they want to hear you talk policy, talk policy. Talk about the things that they want to hear. And this is where I get a little unpopular opinion-y when I talk about you've got to appeal to that moderate audience. It's unfortunate. I think there's a lot of progressive younger candidates that are coming in, kicking in doors and saying, I'm not going to appeal to them. I'm not reaching across the aisle. I don't care what they think. And it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen your scorecard, but you need their votes. Like, you need their votes too to win. And so I think you should probably, think about appealing to them. You know what I mean? I don't think that you can win without them. And so you do need to appeal to them. And so while you may not agree wholly with what they say, you can hear them out. You can listen. Yeah. I think that's something that's important to remember. But also, I think that instead of, going on the defense about, being the younger candidate, again, show up for them, show up, do the things, and also say, hey, publicly, I hear your concerns. Are you making content for them? Are you on Facebook? Because that's where they are.
That's our social media link to them. Yes.
That's our social media link to them. Are you going to the nursing homes? Are you going to volunteer at the events with them? Because a lot of them are the people who hold up democracy in our communities. Let's be honest, good or bad, those are the ones that are showing up to the board meetings, the school board meetings, the city council meetings. So why are you not there? They're talking shit about young people being lazy, but yet young people aren't there to tell them, no, we're not. We're working alongside you. Are you working alongside them? Because I can tell you, in the community that I'm in, every time we have meetings with our public officials, I'm the youngest person there.
So am I.
I'm the youngest person
I'm always
there.
like,
and I'm
here to represent everyone.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, I don't want to be here, but nobody else is going to show up. I was like, also, I will have a glass of your boxed wine. Like,
exactly. It's the cold coffee and the slice of pizza for me, thanks.
Yeah.
But you've got to show up. And so instead of combating that image of laziness, instead of, verbally combating that image of laziness, of lackadaisicalness, whatever the case may be, you can combat that with the truth and say, I'm actually out here fighting for the rights of everyone. I actually want the best for you too, Grandma. And, in order to do that, we've got to work together. But again, those are the people that are knocking on doors. Canvassing wins races. Mandami said they knocked over 1 million doors. Y'all don't want to get off your phone and go outside and talk to nobody. You never go outside and talk to people. You have to go to their doors and talk to them. They're not going to agree with you. I promise you they're not.
And guess what? It gets easier every door you knock. Okay? I worked in a field organizer position in fucking Staten Island. Okay? I was knocking on doors of people that were very staunchly Republican, and I'm literally, they're like, little blonde girl with, I had these like orange Ray-Bans, and they're like, you're not from here. I'm like, I'm not from Staten Island. They're like, we know. And I'm like, are you voting? Like, please don't kill me. I just want to have a conversation. But it gets better. It does. It's like everything else that you do for the very first time. You're gonna fucking hate it, and then you get better at it and things. Or you're like me, and it's like a little exhilarating, right? Knocking on a stranger's door. It's good. You never know.
It works. And you get to have a new conversation every time. You get to talk to them. You get to inspire them to take action. And you get them to look you up. That's my favorite thing. One of the biggest things is people always want everyone on their side. They want everybody to be in agreement with them. They want everyone to like them. And, Donald Trump does this very well. All press is good press. He don't give a shit what you're talking about. But you're looking him up. You're talking about him. You are hashtagging him every day. And it works. It works. I always say one of my claim to fames is like when people want to talk about like who you are, what you do. And I'm like, Google me. And they're like, ew. Yeah. And I'm like, but did you do it?
No, but do it.
You did it. So it worked. because you're like, who the fuck does she think she is? And then you go look me up and you're like, oh, that's who she is. So you know what I mean? It works. And so I think we discount the power of media. We make media out to be this big bad wolf that it's not. You can use it to your advantage, just like every other politician, just like every other fucking company and church and things. Everybody uses the media to spread their message, guys. And you can too. Just call 1-800 use the media. Right? You can too. It's so simple. And I think
but people, you have to.
You have to. But I think we've created this idea of mainstream media is bad. And I'm like, you realize social media is becoming mainstream media, right? There are more people watching TikTok than there are watching fucking ABC News anything or something.
Else. It's insane. Well, and then you also see, like, I mean, I just noticed this recently. I was like, wait a minute, like, these people are having their, like, talk shows on TikTok, which is great, but I'm like, you're right, it is mainstream media. It's the same people who used to sit behind desks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's an idea, it's a perception, and that's what we care about, is perceptions. Yeah. We literally care about words and the perception of an idea, of a thing that we think. And as long as that idea feels safe to us, then we feel safe. So we call mainstream media CNN and NBC and MSN, and we don't call Fox mainstream media. It's the same
Really?
Thing. Yeah.
It is. It's kind of crazy. I didn't know that. So I'm like way off of the off of cable.
I see people that talk about Fox, people that watch Fox News all the time, and they're like, well, we don't believe the mainstream media. I'm like, bro, yes, you do.
But Roger Ailes, like, or Isles, I don't even know how to say his name. It's the same shit, dude.
It's the same shit. You're on social media. You're watching social media.
Yeah.
You're on digital media.
The digital ad buys are
it's so much cheaper for companies to buy influencers, to pay influencers, than it is to put an ad in a fucking newspaper or magazine.
Yeah.
And the influencer will say whatever the hell we want them to say for a couple $100, for $1,000, $5,000 for $5,000. I can sell you an election. Shit, you know, that's what it's coming down to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you get enough women, like good-looking women, good-looking men in bathing suits, just talking about politics. I think we might change the tide. I really do. I think we need to just. That's what I think about when I think about influencers. I'm just imagining just the most outlandish shit, and like these people talking about politics, like being on yachts and things like that. But I'm not.
But that's what it is, though. That's what it already is. If we're looking at our influencers, especially MAGA, I always wonder what was their influencer cost for their campaign. I'm pretty sure it's well into the millions upon millions of dollars. You know, we don't think about that.
And it's also, you know, the Conservative Party in our country, MAGA, Republican, and otherwise, whatever the mix is, they've consistently adopted well to new technologies, and they constantly do. They've got different groups for different ages of people, so that they're building up their like funnel of not just influencers, but also of potential leaders of the party. And that's something that I think the progressive side of our country and the Democrats specifically have neglected for about a while. I think it's changing, but I guess from like a communications angle, and also from working on all these campaigns, like, what do you think is most important for like the next generation of leaders, and how they can either separate themselves from the Democratic Party or ingratiate themselves? You know, maybe it's a little bit of both. Some people will be further left, and some people will be trying to like move up that ladder.
You got to get in first. You got to adapt.
Step one.
Get in. Adapt, get in. I love you screamers. Y'all are raging out. Love it for y'all. They're not going to trust you enough to give you a seat, honey. Okay? And I said honey in the exact way that you felt it. Okay? Because that's how they say it to me all the time. Work in a male-dominated field. They're like, sweetheart. Honey. Sweetheart, honey. You know?
Babe.
And so you've got to be able to adapt to get that seat. You know? And then once you get the seat, you can talk all the shit you want. But now, when you get the seat, you got to bring your friends in too, right? Because that's what they do.
Right.
That's what works. Right. And people don't get it. I'm like, you do realize that there's like a 22-year-old in charge of some shit in a cabinet. The fuck?
That's insane.
It's insane. And as a Democrat, I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. Because we're not. But yet they are.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Is that, do we not trust young people and they do trust young people?
Right.
I don't know. Or are they just adapting to today's wants? You know, is it just supply and demand? Demand is saying we want more young people in politics. And they're like, well, here's a young person. Don't you like
literally,
it?
they seem to have them like ready on a platter in like 90 seconds, which is...
Exactly. Literally straight off of a podcast.
Right. And I'm like, who the fuck is that person? And then the people that, they're like, oh, I saw this clip. And I'm like, oh, God. That's scary.
Straight off of a podcast. And it works, though. But are we doing that? And I'm not going to sit here and say Democrats are failing. Because I don't think that they're failing more so than the Republican Party. I do believe that there was another party birth from the Republican Party. And that party's called MAGA. And I think that is not the conservative Republican Party that we know. That is not them. The Republican Party is are having the same issues as the Democratic Party. It's just the Democratic Party hasn't birthed a beast. And I'm saying that, and when I think of that, I'm thinking of like Ghostbusters and like the slime. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. So when you think of that, the Republicans birthed that thing. That thing took over. Ugh. We have not done that as like Democrats.
Alien and Predator situation. That's the thing that's I think really gotten about like dug into my soul as a Democrat. Like, I'm 35. I haven't really seen a really functioning government ever. I just feel like the Democrats my entire adult life have just kept showing up and kept trying to do like business as usual for like the last 20 years, even though they had, Tea Party starts in like 08, 09. And I feel like that is the beginnings of MAGA. It's not in its full-fledged form. It was still growing. But the Democrats have felt very reactionary and very complacent to like slowly move to the right with MAGA and even the Republican Party. Do you have any idea about how to, like, aside from birthing our own little beast, and I'm down to do it. I'm ready for new political parties, but how do we bring our country back to the left a little bit?
I would say, I'm pulling a quote from the famous...
like, fix everything. Fix everything right now.
Like, I'm going to pull a quote from the famous Gavin Newsom. Two can play that game. I think that's where we need to be. I think that's something that we need to do now is we need to play the game. You can't... another quote from Chris Brown, you can't hate... You're hating from outside of the club when you can't even get in. You got to get in the club. And everybody outside screaming outside the White House gates, I don't know if you know this, but they can't hear you. They can't hear you.
It's literally like so many things to keep that sound out. They don't care.
They don't care. If they can't hear you, you're not doing the thing that you think you're doing. So get into the club, adapt, get your seat, I'm at the point in democracy. Do what you need to do to get your seat.
Yeah.
Once you get your seat, I'm not telling you to do anything illegal. Absolutely not. I'm not telling you to accept dark money, APAC money. Absolutely not. What I am saying is sometimes you've got to appeal to a moderate. Sometimes you've got to, do the corporate dance a little bit with the company here or there and grab you a couple extra bucks. You've got to do what you got to do. Get your seat. And once you get your seat, make sure that you leave that door open. Do not close the door behind you. When we look at seats, we think of one individual. We think of the Barack Obama or the Donald Trump or the Joe Biden. We don't realize that there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that come with them. Yeah. That door can be open to diversity of thought, to our queer community. That door creates jobs for so many individuals. As a person in communications, seeing a Black press secretary That's it. That was
Stunning.
everything for me. But guess what?
Yeah.
We only get those jobs when people who support diversity of thought, diversity in workspaces, we get those jobs when people like that get into office. When people
Right.
like that get into office, we have more people of color in government seats. We have more people writing legislation. We have more people who came from communities that are marginalized speaking
Yeah.
up. And so when we continue to shrink ourselves into this condensed privileged community, we have to realize that that privileged community only represents the privilege. And I hate to say it, most of America, you're not it.
We feel like right now is new and different and special, but in reality, when the Declaration of Independence was written, it was for the top like 7.5-10% of white landowning people owning men. And that's what I feel like we're coming back, making our 250th circle around the sun to kind of get back to that point, right? Where they don't want women in the room. They really don't want black women in the room, because you guys are very compassionate and the most highly educated group of our civilian population right now. They don't want LGBTQ plus people in the room. They don't want even it even feels like they don't even want veterans in the room and things like that, or even doctors, like experts. It's just like they want these mediocre white men.
Because maybe you think they would probably come and try to solve a problem, and if they solve a problem, we won't have that problem. And if we don't have that problem, then
how do we get the money to
how do we
run?
get money? We can't get money without your problems. We profit off your struggles, people. If you're not struggling, what the hell are we here for, right? Like, seriously.
You're talking about birthing a beast in terms of MAGA, but I feel like our campaign and our election cycle is like a Franken baby of just like, it's a mixture of things, but it's like white supremacy, capitalism, and like misogyny, and all of these just things wrapped up into one. But like the capitalism part of it is really the icing on the cake for me, where it's like, let's make sure everyone doesn't get the healthcare they need, so we can raise money on getting them the healthcare that they need, so that we can keep getting elected to continue to raise money to.
Yeah. Well, and we got our pharmaceutical companies that need money. We've got, our doctors that may get a stipend off of this medication or that medication, or this pair of contacts or that pair of contacts. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, we got to make sure, you're a little struggly. We need to make sure, because we don't want you to be okay, because then what would happen if you don't need that good medical insurance? What would happen?
We don't want you to actually be able to live, laugh, love. You have to be struggling.
They lied to us. They definitely lied to us.
The craziest thing about understanding history is like how much the American dream has changed, like both in our lifetime, but in the life cycle of our country, because about, I don't know, 115 years ago, we were in a very similar situation. Post-industrial revolution, right? We can say that the internet and AI is very much an industrial revolution. And then the average American person was like, oh no, but we know that if you're a Vanderbilt or a JP Morgan, you have to have hurt people to get that much money. Mm-hmm. And now we're like, Elon Musk definitely has never hurt anybody to get that amount of money. And you're like, no, he has.
Thousands of people.
Like, so many people so many fucking people have been hurt, but we don't see it with our own two eyes, and so sometimes it's easier to forget.
That's so crazy. But I think one thing that you just said that actually kind of really just hurt my feelings was you said the American dream.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, Amy, it was a dream. They never said the American reality. They never fucking said that.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not fucking wrong. And I don't think, wow. I find it interesting, because I think the way the public perceives what the American dream is how we got like monopoly regulation, right? Because people's American dream back then was like, buy a house. And that was it. And now people are like, I would like to be a millionaire. I would like to be a billionaire. And I'm like, but that is never going to happen. Again, like you said, if we put all of our money together, there's no way that the math doesn't add up for the 300 million of us to put our money together to beat Elon Musk's bank balance.
No.
Or like his wealth. I know it's not his actual bank balance.
Yeah, we can't do it. But yet we're sitting here trying to eat food every day. Like, who? You want to pay your bills? Ew. Like,
oh, so you're poor. You have bills.
Poor people problems. Oh. Yeah. Sorry. You want to buy groceries and pay bills. Like, what's a grocery? So yeah.
Oh, did you say that was a good source of protein? I've never really thought about that.
No. I'm pretty sure their food is different.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So let me ask you a couple more quick questions, and then we'll wrap up. We're coming to the end of our time here, but what do you think is your best piece of advice for someone thinking about running for office? I think I know the answer. I think you've already mentioned it, but I still want to ask you.
My best piece of advice is probably, I'm not going to say that one. My best piece of advice, first thing that came to mind, my best piece of advice is, honestly, build a solid team before you think about running. Here's the thing. A lot of times we think we can survive on volunteers. We think that, we can do this well-oiled machine. We have this thing called Grassroots. And I'm not really sure what that means anymore. But I think we have this idea that there's like, I got the idea. Grassroots are hippies in a living room with no shoes on talking about changing the government. That's not what this is anymore. That's not what this is. You need to organize. You need to be organized. You need to have solid pieces of your team. And I always say this as a communications manager. If you're going into a political race, you need to have paid people. And I'm not talking about your entire team, but there are some key components of your team that have to be steady, stable, sustainable, and secure. And that is your campaign strategist and your communications director, consultant, manager. And the reason being is because the campaign strategist can funnel all those pieces. They can tell you exactly what needs to happen at every level of your campaign. That should not be a willy-nilly volunteer from your neighborhood. That needs to be a solid piece in your puzzle. Your communications manager or director needs to be a solid piece. If all of your volunteers flop, you need to have those two solid pieces to maintain your campaign. And so your communications director then make sure all of your media gets put out, your external media. That's your scripts that you're saying. That's your panel discussions. That's your news interviews. That's your social media. All of those things are communications pieces. Your graphics for social media. All of that is communication pieces. And that, honestly, not biased, but that is the most important piece of your campaign is communications, because that's how you tell the story of your campaign. That's how you spread the message of your campaign. It's through communications. That has to be a solid piece. If you don't have a solid communications manager, you need a communications team. But the paid positions need to be the campaign strategist and your communication manager. If all else fails, you have those two people. Everyone else, you should have more paid pieces in your campaign, but at the grassroots level,
you can get there. You'll get there eventually.
You'll get there. But you definitely need those solid pieces. And then, yes, building out a solid campaign. Do the hard work up front. What do they say? Eat the toad, eat the frog in the morning. Yeah. Do the hard things up front. Make all of your videos. Get your photo shoots done. I know that people think it's not important, but get those photo shoots done. Get all of those videos, professional videos made. You can do all of your social media content as you go throughout your campaign. That's great. Right. But you need to have some professional footage. I know a lot of people are saying we're on this authentic road to politics. I get it. There are some pieces. But in all honesty, there are times when you need to be polished. I'm going to tell you right now, if you walk into the Capitol building and you go onto the floor and you think you're Fetterman with a hoodie on and nobody knows you, they're going to treat you like shit. I promise.
Well, and for everyone listening, being authentic doesn't negate, being polished doesn't negate being authentic, right?
Facts.
The way, being authentic and being genuine to yourself you can do that with your, I don't know, for me, when I'm trying to be very professional, I pull my hair back into a tiny little bun because I'll play with my hair too much, and that means then I look, you've probably seen it in this video, I look a little bit crazy flipping my hair back and forth. But like, it doesn't negate the authenticity. You just have to find the way to mirror it all together.
And I think there's an honest conversation that needs to be had about identity politics. At the end of the day, what you see coming is your first impression. That's the first impression you give off. I don't care what anyone says, I'm judging you. I'm judging you based on the way you look.
We all do it. Why would it stop if you were a politician?
It doesn't stop. And everybody can say, I know it's not right. People would say, that's not right. That's not okay. You're right. You're absolutely right. But let's be real. Let's be authentic. Let's be human. If you've never once in your life looked at a person and thought, oh, well, that's a cute outfit. Oh, I don't like her shoes. Oh, that's a little weird. We've all fucking done it. Be honest. And so it matters what you look like. It matters if you're appealing. I'm not saying you've got to be sexy. I'm not saying you've got to be cute. I'm not saying you've got to have the most expensive. I keep thinking I have glasses on, so I want to like do my glasses and I have contacts on. So I'm like, because I'm normally, that's my normal thing. And so I'm like trying to adjust my contacts. Like,
oh wait, they're not there.
They're not there. It's not my glasses.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you can.
I think I might have to start wearing like cute blue light glasses so I can still, because I wear glasses all the time. I don't normally have a makeup and stuff, but identity politics is a real thing, and I think that the more honest we are about it, the better it'll be for our race. No, you don't have to wear a 3-piece suit. You can just have a nice collared shirt and a pair of jeans. But at the end of the day, you're not just appealing to the Gen Z voters. You're not just appealing to the millennial voters. You're not just appealing to your boomer voters, your Gen X voters. You're appealing to the masses.
Everybody.
And so as somebody who is a millennial, when I'm talking to boomers or Gen Xers, I am going to be a little more polished versus when I'm talking to Gen Xers, I might have on some ripped jeans and some tennis shoes. You know what I mean?
Right.
I might just have my glasses on and no makeup. But when I'm talking to, especially for me as a Black woman, I have to win your vote.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear shit I say if you don't like the way that I look. Let's be honest. Stephen Miller can't say shit to me. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what he has to say. I just don't like the way you fucking look.
And so I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to hear. Like, I'm always staring at his hairline. I'm like marking it like it's a growth chart, watching, see how far it recedes. Like, but like it's true. And obviously women get hit harder with this than men do. Sure. And any level of intersectionality on top of it, Black women or Latina gay women, it just like you and I have talked about this, it hasn't made it to the podcast yet, but this like masculine energy and the line that women are walking it's a lot. It's crazy. I mean, and I can imagine it must drive some people off the wall.
Don't wear a dress. Don't be sexy. I wear stockings. And a lot of women don't wear stockings. When I'm in DC, I have on stockings. I wear dresses. So it's a funny thing. A lot of women in journalism who work in the news, we have this one specific dress. I don't know if you've ever seen the Calvin Klein dress with the gold zipper. I have every color, every shape. I have the tulip sleeve one, the 3/4 sleeve one. But that is an acceptable clothing to wear. It's something normal, and we've normalized wearing that dress in all colors because it's flattering for most women on from every angle. It's stretchy, and it's also pleasing to the eye. Yeah, no, exactly. Doesn't have pockets. It fucking does not. Of course it doesn't fucking have pockets. Why would we bring equality into this conversation? No, it doesn't have pockets. Of course not. Of course not. Why would we give women pockets? I'm confused. What do they have to carry their things? Do they have stuff? Stuff to carry? You have a credit card? I personally believe that
We should just make random men pay for all of our shit until we get pockets and everything. Be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I couldn't bring anything. It just.
I'm a woman. I'm a woman.
I'm a dainty little girl, a little flower. I have no pockets.
And I have the worst fucking keys ever, bro. I have the keys. You know the keys.
The jangle jangles.
I have the keys. I am.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what are all these keys? This is like a key set from 1993. Why the fuck do I have all these keys? I don't even know what they go to. But I definitely have. I have a need for pockets.
Yes.
And good real pockets, not girl pockets. Real pockets.
That's why I wear the men's shirts, because look at
the
these
fake
pockets.
Girl pocket. Yeah.
These are like I can put my actual cell phone in this pocket.
Yeah, girls' pockets there. You can't put a cell phone in.
No fucking chance. No. Oh man. Okay. I do have a couple other questions, but this is not going to be a quick one. But maybe it's somewhere we leave off and we can come back and revisit it. But what do you think the future of politics looks like from a communications perspective with the advent of new tech, social media, AI, everything wrapped up in one?
The future of politics is freaking phenomenal. I think because we have access to more information than ever before, we can do more than ever before. And I also think that in doing more than ever before, we can call out bullshit more than ever before. And I love that for us. I think with the evolution of digital media, it allows us to see more deeply into things that we've never been able to see into before. Like APAC and like all these different things. We knew nothing about this until we knew something about this. While people have always gotten this money from those things, from
somewhere. Yeah.
We didn't know.
Oh, wow.
And so I think with the evolution of that, I think it doesn't level the playing field, but I think it decreases the disparity in not only politics, but in all of our lives. And I think that's just, I think the future is honestly bright for not only, I think for young politicians coming up. I think we're at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads where the new meets the old, and the old is gonna have to step down. Or else. Or there's other options. But I think they're going to have to step down. You know, we've watched a lot of politicians pass away in their seats. You know,
it's crazy.
And that's not okay. That's not okay. Because at some point, you've got to say, I've done what I can do for my community, and it's time to pass the baton. And you holding it until the death grip is crazy. Is crazy. And I think that the use of technology and the evolution of technology for us will help advance the conversation of term limits. I think it'll help advance, like I said, the knowledge that we have about PACs, its use, and why it is important. Lobbying is important, but how do we then level that playing field, or at least decrease the disparities in politics by using that digital media, by using, artificial intelligence? And I think it's working, but I also think that we get in the way.
We sure fucking do. We do. I mean, yeah, we do. And of course I want to start to wrap things up right around here, because I think this is a lot of very hopeful conversation. And I think that's why I started this podcast, is looking for hope. And I think you're right. I think there's a lot of good things that are coming out of the new tech. There's a lot of good things coming out of the younger generations who are already in politics. There's going to be even more great things with 2025 and 2026. But you're not wrong. We definitely, of course, we get in the fucking way. Where can people follow you? Where can people talk to you? And we'll put this in the show notes as well, so it's all over the place. But
yeah, you guys can follow me on all socials. My name is Marla Bautista. You can follow me. You can visit my website at marlabautista.com. You can watch my TED Talk about how belongingness will end homelessness, because I do believe in bridging communities, all of them. And so I think that, You guys can find me there. You can follow me. I love engaging in conversations. You guys can follow me on all social medias. I'm there. You can visit my website and, join me in a conversation. I'm always on TikTok Live. Join me in a conversation about politics. I'm always available because I believe in making the world a better place, even when I'm not getting paid for it, because I truly believe in the good in humanity.
It's amazing. Taking a picture. Let's see if we can smile. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's awesome. I'm excited.